Welcome back to the Kilted Texan. We're going to be putting a dash cam in this Cadillac Lyriq today, and it's one of those things that I feel like almost all cars need dash cams now. There's so much dishonesty that happens in an accident, or even insurance scams and stuff like that. Plus, the one that I'm putting in here actually does have a parking mode. So if you go and you pull into a parking lot, it'll record time lapse up to 24 hours, actually 48 hours in this one. So we're going to go ahead and put the dash cam in this car, and it's pretty simple with this. We're going to be using fuse taps and trying to wire it actually into the system on the car. So this is going to be a permanent installation. This is not a take in and take out kind of a deal. So we're going to go ahead and get it in here and try to keep at least some shade on the camera, so that when it's, you know, hotter than a porcupine in a pepper patch, it's not going to cook the camera in its place. So we're going to get into it. I'm going to show you maybe, you know, how difficult it actually is, and we're going to go with that. But I've got dash cams in this Audi e-tron. I got dash cam in my ID4. I got a dash cam in my Excursion. I don't trust driving without them. So let's get into it and we'll see what happens.
And right here we have the VIOFO USB-C hardwire connection for the dash cam. You notice here we can set, fortunately it's upside down for y'all, but basically we can set where we want the power to shut off, so it keeps the battery safe. It is a USB-C connector, but in my Cadillac, I went ahead and I put fuse taps on it. Now this one needs to, the yellow one needs to be connected to accessory, and the red needs to be connected to constant 12 volt, and of course the black needs to be connected to ground. Now where we start running into problems with these fuse taps and with the Cadillac is the fact that these fuse taps are just a little wider than a normal fuse. So I broke out my micrometer, and basically the width on these stock was 9.08 millimeters, where the width of a fuse is like 8.98 millimeters, and it was just enough to keep it from basically fitting down into the slot to actually allow the fuse tap to connect. So I've gone ahead and had to shave it down. I used an X-Acto blade and some sandpaper, and I made sure that the width was under 9 millimeters. The height, let me see, I'm trying to remember exactly where that is. In fact, let me get my mic and we'll take a look. All right. The micrometer says 3.4. So I made sure that this part right here was down below 3.4, and then also the sides were under 2 millimeters. So basically the width here was 2 millimeters. Also checked the width of that center post, and all of those I basically had to modify down to make sure that it was, you know, able to go into the slot. So we're going to go try this out on the Cadillac, and again, I just had to use an X-Acto blade and sandpaper to get it down there. But we're going to go try it out on the Caddy and see if we can get those things to slot in. But I've gone ahead and identified the places where we need to plug them in. Now the fuse taps we're using are these micro 2s here. These are the ones that fit in the Cadillac. So these were the possibilities of where we could actually put them. What we ended up settling on was the F3, or actually the F4, which was the USB port on the top right hand corner up there in the fuse box, and then an F28. And unfortunately I didn't have F28 put in here, but F27 is body control module 3, F28 is body control module 2. I'm not sure why they put them backwards, maybe length of wire or whatever. But basically those are the two that I chose. The F4 is an accessory or key on power, so it's only draws 12 volt when the car is started and kind of running, and the F28 is 12 volt constant power. So that's what we needed on here. And you know, these fuse taps were in there. They, you know, they're about as ugly as a mud fence painted by a blind mule, but you know, they work like a champ and they stick really well. So let me show you the video of what we got in there and kind of show you how we did. And these are the fuses that we tapped into. That 5 amp on top and then a 25 amp on bottom on the other side, just so that we could get some clear runs around the back of that fuse panel. And now we just kind of stuffed the controller unit down behind there, and we'll make that a little bit more secure, a little bit more permanent. But then we are going to probably undo this bolt and put the ground actually up against this, because this is a grounding surface, and we'll put it up against here so that it'll go ahead and get power. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to hook up this ground. Since we got the fuse taps in place, we're going to hook up this ground here. We're going to put it up against this metal so that it goes ahead and grounds out. And then we're going to be running this line up inside this trim to get it up and over to the camera mount that's over here. So I'm going to go grab, that looks like maybe a 8mm. Let me check on that and we'll see what size that is. And we'll just speed this up because it's like watching paint dry on a rainy day. But yeah, that wire just went underneath there and I just cinched that plastic down on top and it works out well. Now that that's in place, let's check and make sure that we actually have power to it. Not showing there. But we are showing there. There's power.
Please insert a memory card.
Okay. So that means that this now is powered correctly off of there with this. So we're gonna run this up here to see if we can make this look slicker than a buttered cat on a linoleum floor. We're just going to run this up the outside. See if we can get around having to pull a whole lot of this out. And really, my preference would be to get this in here behind this airbag. I don't know whether we're going to be able to do that. We are going to give us just a little bit of slack. It is easier to work on the older vehicles just because you don't have to worry about the side impact airbag. Now honestly, the airbag cut right through this line if it goes off, but it is better if you can get it behind it. So I'll probably, in the interest of getting this thing done here real quick, I'm probably going to come back and run that later on this week
But I got a run into San Antonio today that I'm gonna have to make, and therefore I'm just gonna go ahead and let it ride. You know, grab my other trim tools here. But now we see we got a whole bunch of slack right here, right? So what we'll do, we'll kind of wad this up a little. And then we can place this back behind here so that we don't cut those wires. Now that's in there. And yeah, we're going to be putting that up in there. And then I pull this whole unit off as one piece. What they say about this particular door is that you're supposed to pull it from the top, and it's supposed to disengage these side bits. I really think it's supposed to happen. We put this door on here. Now we got those in place. Now this other plate goes in here, just like so. And this does take a little bit of persuasion. And you'll see where these tabs line up, like that here. This right in here, this one right here, and that one right there. We're going to try to get behind. Yep. And we'll be running a little bit of Armor All on there to kind of clean that up a little. But yeah, I think it's important to pull this panel here, and there is a, well, we normally refer to them in the South as OSHs or O handles, O blank handles. But you'll have to actually remove this to pop this panel, and that's why I really don't have time to do that right now. But I'll be coming back to pop this panel for this OSH, and then running that line up behind this airbag right in here. But now at least this is in place. But right now, if this airbag deploys, there's going to be a slight reduction in pressure here. So that's why I need to get this done soon. But there's going to be a slight pressure reduction here, and it'll break this line, of course. But the camera is based on got a capacitor in it that will continue to run for just a couple of seconds after power is cut, so that it can capture whatever video it's actually seeing. So, you know, if I get hit, you don't have to hear me screaming for mama. You know, after I get hit, it's just gonna go ahead and continue recording, or it's gonna stop recording just a couple of seconds after. So you, if I get hit, you may be able to hear me scream or throw out a 4-letter expletive, and then the video should go dark. But now I'm going to go get my other trim tools, and we're going to see if we can't get this cable put up behind here. And I'm also going to switch the view that we're looking at. So now from inside the caddy, what we're going to do is we're going to place
one camera here, and then the interior facing camera somewhere up here, so that it can see inside the car and get front and rear seats and all that good stuff. So we're going to take this camera and we're going to place it right here. All right, and we'll place her up here. We need to make sure we leave enough room for all these wires to come through and all that good stuff. So this is a pretty horizontal surface. So what we'll do, pop this about right there. And that should be about level. And then I'm going to take this camera off so that this can cure that VHB tape without so much weight on it. And then the second thing we're going to do is place this camera, and we're using this VHB. Now this particular camera itself has been in my 2021 ID4, in my 2002 Excursion, and now it's going in my Cadillac. It's just better suited for this, but essentially we're just going to find us a spot right here. We're just going to place that camera, and this is the one that's got all the night vision illumination on it. So we're just going to place that, and we've made sure to pull that wire. So again, we're placing this camera to let that VHB cure with the least amount of weight on it, because that stuff, you know, yeah, it's tape and it sticks immediately, but it actually takes about 24 hours to come to its full strength. So just be aware of that, you know, this piece and this one over here, you know, they're still in danger of falling down for up to 24 hours. So just be aware. We're going to place that, and that's going to look sharper than a cactus at a porcupine party. Okay, so we're going to get this up just a little further. And just use this little trim tool here, and we can run this piece up. And if you want, this is a pretty cheap little trim tool set. Got this, which is metal, but then you got some nylon little tools and such like this. And what we'll do, we'll just kind of pry that down a little bit and pop that cable into the headliner, because there's nothing up here that's gonna interfere with it. Okay, and then we've got this little cable that's going to go to this camera. Here, let me get this straightened out. I'm just trying to hide these wires a little. the other thing with this particular install is this camera is high enough in this rearview mirror that I see the entire window when I'm sitting in the driver's seat. I see the entire rear window, and this camera only intrudes maybe about a 1/4 inch into basically into the roof line that I can see, and it doesn't affect my view out of the rearview mirror. So that's why I decided to go put this camera here. It really tends to work out well. And now, this has been sitting up here for a few hours, so it's pretty well cured to the window. I mean, I can knock on it pretty good, and it's not moving at all. So it's time to go ahead and put the unit up into place. We will go ahead and set that to the internal, and then that to the power. And now we are set. So I use these 256 gig Pros. So we will power that down here real quick. There we go. These 256 gig Pro cards, they do pretty well in here. Of course, VIOFO wants you to buy one of their $90 cards, and sorry, Chief, but I ain't gonna do that when I can get these for like 20 bucks. So now we have a dash camera in here, and we'll have a little bit of video from it, both day and night in it, just to show what she looks like. But other than that, we'll press on with a great exuberance and see what happens when we fire it up.
Recording. 2 channels started.
So here you go. Here's the internal camera on the car. This is what it looks like basically during the light of day. You can see that you can get a view of all the seats and out that back window pretty well. So, you know, everything is covered as far as view goes. Then we'll go ahead and we'll switch to night mode here. And here's night, and you can see this is the night illumination, or the IR illumination inside the car. So no issues here. You can still see everything very well. You can see out the back. You know, got a good view of everything behind. And here's just on a dark road. This is what it looks like when it's illuminated by lights and no street lights. I mean, there's maybe some other ambient lights that are around, but that's just driving lights. And then we'll kick over to bright day, no cloud cover, just bright light of day. And it works pretty well. So there you go. That's the A139. It's available on Amazon if you want to check it out. I'll leave a link in the description to that and the tools that I used. But other than that, if you're going to crash into that like button, subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one.